Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about sandbagging in Battlegrounds. And yesterday when I made a video about how a new wave of absolutely blatant modders and cheaters have infected Battlegrounds, I specifically left out the matchmaking and sandbagging in Battlegrounds, especially because Kabam Jax had announced that the changes to BG matchmaking are live and should sort out sandbagging. Then later on we got an update because a lot of people still kept getting matched against sandbaggers, and the update stated so it appears that we jumped the gun with communicating the changes to matchmaking. Full transparency, everything looks like it should be working, but it's not. The team is investigating much deeper into these issues. We're hoping to have answers soon. Apologies. And then obviously we do have a huge line of still dissatisfied people basically being mismatched due to sandbagging. And that is the problem with sandbagging. In my personal opinion, sandbagging is a shitty thing to do. But there is a reason why it's so prevalent. Therefore, and again, full disclosure, I know that there will be people who will definitely like to give me quite a lot of grief for the things that I'm about to say, but I'm going to say them anyways, because that is how I perceive the situation. And again, full disclosure, I'm not affected by sandbaggers. In fact, if I match somebody trying to sandbag, good, because people who do that typically are not as skilled, and they're just putting themselves in a disadvantage because I end up playing against the strongest players that there are in this game anyways. And those are not the people who sandbag. So when I do get a match against sandbagger, I'm quite happy to spank them. At the same time, I do talk to a lot of people who are affected quite significantly. And I can feel and understand their frustration and how it is genuinely ruining the game mode for them. Because they end up facing with people who effectively draft significantly stronger champions that they have and basically automatically lose. Yeah, eventually, occasionally, they will grab a win, but the odds are incredibly stacked against them. And that is also why and how sandbagging has become so prevalent and why it has spread as much as it has. Therefore, it is easy for me to make a generic statement that, sandbaggers have tiny willies and they all suck and I hope, whatever. Whilst that is a general sentiment, there is more nuance to the situation. Because if you are playing and if you get consistently beat by people who are sandbagging and you lose 10 matches in a row or 8 matches in a row or majority of your 8 matches because you get mismatched with people who have 6-star rank 3s and rank 4s and then a bunch of 2-stars, whilst you are running 5-star rank 4s and rank 5s. It's not fair. You feel like you're getting bullied, and therefore a lot of people end up doing the same thing. When you lose 7-8 matches in a row because of sandbagging, there is a significant portion of players who think, well, they're doing it, they're getting away with it, they're winning easily in Battlegrounds, why shouldn't I? And then they, again, load their decks with whatever strongest champions that they have, add in a bunch of 2-stars, 1-stars to their decks, and they keep punching down. And that is effectively how it spreads. When the biggest accounts potentially start sandbagging in order to beat on somebody that's slightly weaker, then those slightly weaker accounts start doing the same to beat on people who are even more behind in their progression. And then the end experience is just completely twisted version of Battlegrounds. So it's hard to have all the scorn or much of the scorn for the individual players, especially if they are somewhere in the middle of the game. It is very easy to have all the scorn for actually big account players who do that. But ultimately, like with much in this game, the responsibility does lie with Kabam. just like it lies with Kabam to catch the modders, just like the responsibility lies with Kabam to enforce the rules or make sure that the game modes function as intended, this is yet another situation which ultimately has to be solved by Kabam. And they are failing to do so. The fact that sandbagging as a strategy still exists in Season 3, after we went through half a year of betas, and now that we are in the 3rd season of Battlegrounds, it's just, again, one of those fast, quick examples that Kabam's quite slow to sort out problems like this. I do think that they eventually will. But the problem is, what damage is it doing right now to people? Because there is a huge amount of people in the recent couple of weeks that just either completely lost interest in Battlegrounds and perhaps the game in general, because they were basically bullied out of an opportunity to play the game mode fairly against accounts that have actually similar power levels. Many people are pushed out because of the addition of relics, and there's definitely a huge dissatisfaction on relics. Relics feel like something that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, nobody needed, and it just got forced upon us. Most critically, in a time when there are so many new things happening in the game, it definitely wasn't a needed addition in the eyes of majority of the players that I have spoken to. And this sandbagging thing just further increases the pain of the players who, you might be Cav, you might be trying to get in your Battlegrounds matches. Battlegrounds is a very good game mode to play to get better, to learn matchups. For instance, when your opponent takes down your defender much quicker than anticipated with a weird counter, you're like, I did not know that fight works. I should try it, and things like that. So Battlegrounds overall is very, very good for player development in terms of how much they know about the game and also in the fighting ability. And obviously it can be stupidly fun. But it's being mismanaged to hell. With the addition of relics, with the matchmaking, and with the sandbagging, and with the insane amount of modders running around, it is, for many people, harder and harder to find the reason to play that game mode or stick around the game in general. So I do hope that Kabam understands the severity of the problem here, because I 100% believe if they actually dedicated enough resources, put enough people on it, if they paid for overtime for some of those people or something of the sort, they could have sorted out sandbagging and modding by now. But as often with things like this, there's just kind of like a nonchalant attitude to virtually anything unless it's to do with directly monetizing the game. If there is an issue with an offer, it's going to be resolved within hours. If there is an issue screwing over player experience, it's probably going to take days, weeks, or months. But again, I do personally want to discourage people from trying to sandbag themselves, because I know people who have started doing it just because they feel like otherwise they can't compete. But what they don't understand that is how it spreads. Because when you get wrecked by sandbagger, then you can start sandbagging and you can start wrecking weaker players, and those players are going to start sandbagging, and before long, majority of the people who are not at the very tippy top of Battlegrounds will end up finding themselves with like 10 2-stars in the deck. This is definitely on Kabam to sort it, but it can be on players to at the very least not let it become as widespread. Let me know what you guys think about this entire situation. It's just one of those things where Kabam's incompetence meets worst impulses of human brain and screwing it over for everybody, in my opinion. So yeah, let me know what you think. How has been your experience with matching? And I'm gonna catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the